not sure if we're on. Good evening and welcome. Sorry, slight technical glitch there. Good evening and welcome to MTV Community Forum. I'm your host, Byron Campbell, and Chris Diali, co-host. Good evening, Chris.
Good evening, Byron, and good evening to our viewers. You may know or you may not know, this is our penultimate program. Next week will be our last program for this year. And we, Byron and myself, are planning to do a review in the year coming up. So look out for that. Stay tuned when we, at least we're going to try and end the year on a good note in terms of the news elements and so on.
And Chris, of course, we have an interesting program tonight because we have...
Yes, two officers from the Royal Grenada Police Force. One is going to be dealing particularly with traffic issues. As you know, we have had challenges with that. And we're going to have some Sergeant Kalis from CID who is going to guide us through on, you know, how to prepare for those people who may want to do wrong things to us over the season. As you know, around this time, we just have all kind of issues with crime, and particularly housebreaking and so on.
And it's Corporal Paul we have from the Traffic Department.
Yeah, Corporal Paul. That's right.
Chris, whether you've been listening or not, I don't know, but we have breaking news in the region. What's happening with the U.S. is an escalation. The U.S. has seized this first oil tanker, a huge oil tanker. It was announced this evening, a few hours ago, by President Trump. So now we know there's no hidden agenda anymore. We know this is about oil, it's about resources, it's about regime change, and it's happening.
This oil tanker was going from where
on the coast of Venezuela, coming in Venezuelan waters.
Entering to go to Venezuela
I don't know,
or taking oil?
I don't know. Oil on the coast of Venezuela.
Because that more than likely must be some oil that leaving Venezuela to either go Russia or China.
I don't know. They didn't give details, but the president said it's a huge tanker, you know. So this has now moved to another level.
Of course it's another level.
And so this rubbish, let's call it that, about drug interdiction, it's a farce, it was a joke. We all knew that. And you could see that policy even when you had the destruction of these boats or the army. You had three cases. One of the boats you had two survivors. There was a second strike, they were killed. Another strike where you had one survivor, he or she was left to die in the ocean. And the third strike where you had two survivors, they were picked up and handed over to the Colombian government.
And I think in parallel, they had a major bust by the Coast Guard of how much $1 million in cocaine.
Yeah.
So the Coast Guard continues to do its interdiction work.
Yeah.
But we know Donald Trump and
so this is a major development. It's interesting to see what goes on and what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, we heard in the parliament last week, Dr. Mitchell, not leader of the opposition, but member of parliament for the constituency of South St. George, ex-prime minister.
Not South St. George.
St. George Northwest, yes. St. George Northwest made the announcement that it's his last parliament. What do you make of this?
Well, it would appear that Dr. Mitchell is preparing to hand over his constituency to whoever the person is that they want to. I don't know if they're going to have a by-election for his seat, so the person can sit in parliament, but handing it over to a caretaker, of course, would be on the assumption that his constituents is going to be happy with who he's handing it over, so NNP could maintain that as a seat going forward in the next election. It also says that, you know, Dr. Mitchell have contributed 40 plus years as a parliamentarian, and it's probably time for him to take a bow and say, you know, I've contributed. 40 years in public life is a significant contribution, whether you like him or you don't like him. To serve 40 years in public life is not an easy thing. Are
you asking me the question, Chris?
No, I'm saying, I'm stating that is a huge contribution to our development. Very rare you hear politicians last that long and contribute that long.
Ralph Gonzalez
recently in St. Vincent and Dr. Mitchell, they are the two ones, stalwarts. So, you know, you must give credence to that. That is an excellent contribution he has made. So I'm not underplaying that at all. And if he decides it's time to, you know, to move on, I'm happy for him.
We wish him well. Chris, traffic, I mean, we're going to be talking about that in details, but section of Old Fort Road and Upper Lucas Street, we saw some widening of that corner there. Makes a difference for traffic in and out.
You know, we just always complain and talk about traffic and what's not happening and should happen. But that Old Fort project, whoever the contractor was, did an excellent job in terms of time to complete what he did, an expansion of the drain and a grill work, widening of the corners so that it's wider, so it's easier for traffic to flow up and down. And, you know, I looked at the guys working. They worked in the night. They worked right through, rain falling, and they still. I mean, I really admire the spirit in which that contractor, because obviously he had a timeline to finish, and he finished so that traffic could widen and open back up normally.
Kudos.
And that is a huge traffic vein when you hear a school coming down Lucas Street, Old Fort buses from. So that was excellent work, and I want to commend them and talk about that. And recently, I also want to commend the traffic department. Not that we have a traffic officer coming on, but you know, the build-up in the peak periods in Grand Anse Valley, from Woburn Junction going to Springs or going into Woburn, coming from Grand Anse. That junction, the junction, there's another junction in Grand Anse Valley where you go into Montu. There and down by the roundabout by Rams, I saw police officers deployed in the peak period to help with the traffic congestion. I spent over an hour in the traffic coming from home to go to SSU. So it was really, you know, a good sight to see the officers there. So I commend them on that, and we probably need to do more of that in the peak periods.
Great. Chris, Christmas season, toys, children. Well, the big thing this year, Chris, we have AI toys using artificial intelligence. What I pick up here, Chris, is that there are issues here, issues like privacy leaks, unsafe content, emotional, zero regulations. You have a lot of hacking and scams and cheap, unverifiable imports and toxic, all type of things. What are you picking up on this? Are parents being advised what's going on?
Is a concern. I saw it raised in an article in one of the newspapers, and rightfully so, because we have no real control on what is coming in for the toys, the teddy bears, the lovely teddy bears that our children love to cuddle and so on, are now coming with speech capability managed by AI. And the AI and the conversations that they have been programmed to do, these small children or children between the ages of 3 to probably 12, where their minds are still very sponge and they could take in anything. The conversations seem to be way out of whack for that age. Issues on sexual topic, issues on gender balance, issues on a lot of things.
So they lack robust setting. So parents should pay attention to that.
The moral compass is being challenged, I think, for our children.
So parents have a responsibility to
they need to check when they buy these teddy bears what they're saying.
Yeah, what they're saying, to avoid toys that constantly listens unless you're comfortable with data collection.
That's right. You need to pay attention.
And test the toys before giving it to your children. Chris, on a related issue, we saw that Australia has passed a law that blocks anyone under 16 from accessing major social platforms like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, etc. And the reason is that they found out that 70% of young people between 10 and 15 years old have seen harmful content, and that links to depression and anxiety and even suicidal thoughts.
Remember, grooming, on some social media platforms, we training our young people how to make bombs, how to commit suicide. They actually have training on how to do that. And the content is not controlled, and it's not. Remember, our brains as young people constantly keep developing up to 16. When you hit 18 and above, then the same argument was made for marijuana.
Could we consider such legislation here?
I think so. I have no difficulty with it. I don't see it impeding your rights or anything like that. Children under the age of 16 are still within the so-called control of our parents for guidance and leaders and so on.
But the interesting thing, the enforcement aspect, where the penalties rest, are not with parents and children. It rests with the
content provider.
The content provider.
Yeah. And I think the content providers need to now regulate.
Yes.
You could have a social media platform for young people, but on educational issues, on issues of the environment and that sort of thing, but not on these kind of issues that you see them going on and teaching them how to do, all the wrong things that we consider wrong, committing suicide and so on.
So it's something we should pick up in the new year, Chris, in terms of having a bit more discussion on this.
Remember, we spoke about one of the programs that China has introduced AI technology to kindergarten
schools.
Age.
That's correct.
I am quite certain that what they have introduced has a lot of controls on what they could go on and do and so on. And it's probably more geared to educating them on how AI could be used.
That's correct.
In a positive sense.
Yeah.
So I have no difficulty with that if we could get those kind of controls.
Yeah.
Because we need to protect our young people as much as we may think we don't. We need to protect them from all the bad things, so-called bad things out there.
Chris, of course, we've talked about this a lot this year, what's taking place in Gaza, Israel. We know there is a phase 1 in terms of the peace plan there. They're moving now into a phase 2. But, I mean, the phase 1, we're hearing that been over 700 violations by Israel. We're hearing that over 370 persons have been killed. They still continue to demolish buildings. In the phase 1. They still occupy as much as about 50% of Gaza. They still, but as you move into phase 2, Chris, which envisage disarmament, Israeli withdrawal, reconstruction, and a new governance structure for Gaza, and that need massive humanitarian aid. It hasn't happened. There are issues of financial commitments, but still, it's an important process. I mean, what do you see?
Well, I mean, phase 1 to me, I think gave closure to families on both sides. Families who were hostage were returned, even though some of them were already deceased, they still returned the body. So it gave a certain level of closure, which was necessary. And yes, Israel continued their violations as they seem to be the norm. Phase 2, in my view, is about the humanitarian effort, the rebuilding and so on. And Israel is very negative. They're saying the part in phase 2 that deals with disarmament, as far as they're concerned, nobody could disarm the Hamas except them. And you know what that means if they want to do the disarming. So the phase 2, unless a lot of pressure is put on Israel to step aside, it would not, in my view, happen as they would like it to happen. And the Gaza people will still be under some serious issues with Israel controlling everything they do.
I know it's winter, Chris, and weather, a lot of rain, ongoing political disagreement, as you pointed out. So it's interesting to see how this develops in the new year. Chris, there's developments in Woodford. You remember that there was a pause in that construction.
With Reno and what they want to do there, the asphalt plant and the mining.
What are you hearing?
Yeah, it appears that the PDA have given the approval for Reno to continue with the construction and the building of the asphalt plant and probably the mining activities without an EIA being submitted. That is what has come out. So, you know, that is a bit disappointing because of all the drama and all the information that was raised by the residents in surrounding areas. They also had the jetty thing that they were building down in, how you call that place, the Black Bay?
Woodford.
No, that's where they're building the plant. But they had a jetty with a road building down in Black Bay.
It's the same, okay.
That was causing some concern as well. So my issue is, here we had a resolution with Sol and the rocks on the beach, and everybody came out and quarreled about the rocks and blocking access to the beach and enjoying the beach. And here we have a bigger development by Reno going on. And we ain't hearing the amount of, public discourse and it seems, I'm not saying that it appears that the government is behind this thing with Reno to put up this plant.
One of the justification the government has made is that they're in urgent need of asphalt, aggregates, for construction and maintenance.
Are we having issues now with supply aggregate and maintenance of the road?
It would appear so.
Well, I find we have aggregates going on, we have road patches going on, things going on, the hot picks.
But as you talk about the area, Chris, something that came out in the budget, and I heard it from Dr. Jessime, who is an environmental scientist, and one of the projects they have is waste to energy or something like that, and there's plans to import waste into Perseverance, you were saying?
Well, there is always...
What is this, importing waste into Grenada?
Well, you see, the reason that is being talked about in that direction is because we don't generate enough waste that could commercially run waste to energy conversion.
What was the byproduct of this waste conversion?
Well, what they do is they separate your waste into particular components. And the ones that are used to burn, right, to make convert your energy and convert your plant, your steam plants and so on. So that happens in another country, but the tonnage required to make that a commercial venture is where we don't generate that amount of waste as a country. So we have to import from sister countries.
But the environmentalists seem to be concerned about the necessary environmental impact assessment, and that assessment, and in the absence of that, you announce a project of this nature that has serious implications to the environment, and that's a problem. That they're not listening, that the authorities are not listening to the science, they're not listening to the authority.
Because importing waste don't mean you're taking everything from the country. It's supposed to be
I know that.
Special stuff. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So who controls that? And to ensure that if that project comes up about generating energy from waste is something that
we have a history in Grenada of just rushing to do things without the necessary assessment. Even when we do the assessment, we don't follow the rules, you know. We can't do that anymore.
I don't think we should. We're small and we find space.
We got to talk to Dr. Jessamy more about this matter. Chris, there's a white potato initiative, or what we call Irish potato initiative, taking place here earlier this week. There were a team, I think, from Dominica.
There was a team from Grenada in a conference in Dominica.
And then they came to Grenada.
Yes.
To look at how, at the possibility of propagating this growing
this and producing. I mean, we bring in a lot of potato. We make it into fries. We do a lot of things with Irish potato, or what we so-call white potato, Irish potato. But I should throw that out to you as the agricultural person. What is the farmers' uptake, and whether our farmers are prepared to put 10 or 15 acres into potato production?
Chris, I've been talking to an agronomist, one of the senior agronomists here, and they have a little concern because of the technical aspect of this particular crop. But the fields show, let's experiment, let us see where it's going. But the technology required and the importation of the seeds and so on is an issue. But to investigate how it could grow. I mean, one of their feeling is that, look, from the agronomists, look, I rather put my time in increasing our red potato, sweet potato production. I rather focus on how we could increase our dasheen production. Some of the foods that we're importing right now, from St. Vincent and other places.
From provisions and other
Exactly. Stuff. But as you talk about food, the Prime Minister was in Guyana earlier this week and unveiling, because we have now set up a mission there. I'm to understand.
Yeah, we have
one of the conversation there was, according to the Prime Minister's website, was that Guyana is saying, look, we could supply you with food. But I'm saying, yes, and that's great. So maybe we could reduce our dependency on the U.S., which we get a lot of importation food from. But I'm not hearing sufficient on increasing our own production to bridge that gap, which is 80% of our food we're importing, and we're only producing 20%. How do we reduce, Chris? That's the point.
Yeah, well, you see,
that is where I want to see the emphasis.
The thing is, I always am critical about how agriculture is run in the country as a sector.
Yeah.
And if we're talking food security.
Yeah.
And if the war happens, what Mr. Trump is doing, and we have limited arrival of our ships with food, and the cost, because the freight is going to go up because of the security risks, then, we ain't serious. We're talking years about Guyana should be the food basket for the region. And we haven't put in anything in terms of a reliable transport system that could facilitate it. Guyana could supply us with mangoes, pineapple, just name it. And here we are, having all kind of aircraft and new aircraft and ship, and we're not getting serious about how we could get transportation problems solved to get food to the region.
Another positive thing, Chris, is, and finally, maybe it's a sargassum initiative, because certain times of the year our beaches or our coastline in a region, and I'm to understand there is an initiative, a project to investigate and look at turning the seaweed into something useful.
Yeah, I think an MOU was signed last week on that. The Prime Minister actually had traveled to somewhere and was a featured speaker on this Sagassam issue. So it seems to be, and I think there's a company in Grenada already who have started a pilot project with the Sagassam and what they could do to turn it into energy as well. So there are some initiatives, and we're hoping that between now and the next season, when we are inundated on all our beaches on both the west and eastern coasts now with Sagassam, that we could have something up and running that could deal with it, and the stench, that all the things that go in, and the problems our fishermen have with their boats going in and out of this thick Sagassam. So probably we need to see a company come and play how to harvest it out of the seawater and get it to a processing plant.
I mean, and this is experimental. This is trial, Chris, because a lot of countries are struggling with that. But it's
we have a pilot project here that have run.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's how to expand that now and get it. And of course, what kind of equipment we're going to use to harvest the Sagassam when it comes. So that's a good thing.
Great initiative. Yes. Absolutely. Anything else, Chris?
No, I think that is it for me.
So we have our guests there joining us. Viewers, we'll take a short break and we'll be back in a moment. Stay with us.
Right.
Or sticky, or just need a quick freshen up? Island Pure Refreshing Wipes are cooling, deliciously moisturizing, and leave your skin soft and smooth. Stay fresh wherever you go. Made in Grenada for our Caribbean community. What are you waiting for? Get yours now. Available to buy nationwide.
Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. This is exciting news for all car lovers and car owners. Get ready for Grenada Autofest 2026, a car show with a difference. From antique and classic to modern innovations. Saturday, March 14 at the Roy St. John playing field in Tantine. Car owners, this is your chance to show off. Get that machine ready. Get that ride in mint condition. It's full throttle face-off between old school rides, the hot rod, and the supercharged modern customized rides. This is a family affair. Bring the kids, bring the crew, bring the whole yard. It's the Grenada Autofest 2026 on Saturday, March 14. Get ready.
The last eclipse of our galaxy. Scientists are gathered here today to witness this extraordinary event.
The craving that makes everything crunch. The new crispy barbecue sandwich with barbecue sauce, crispy onions, and bacon. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Experience travel redefined with the new edition Luxury Taxi and Tours. When your journey matters as much as your destination, choose a service designed for those who expect more. Slide into comfort with our premium vehicles and first-class transport options maintained to perfection. Our drivers are more than just drivers. They're trained, discreet, and committed to delivering a smooth, seamless experience every time. Discover Grenada or explore new horizons through curated private tours crafted around your interests. From scenic escapes to cultural deep dives, every itinerary is uniquely yours. We value your time and elevate every mile with service that's precise, polished, and personalized. Travel in style, arrive in confidence. Choose the new edition Luxury Taxi and Tours, where luxury meets the road. Ready to ride? Call us at 403-7556.
Megaforce Promotions, in proud collaboration with Ariza Credit Union and GBN, presents Grenada's biggest flea market at Monroe's Plainfield, Saturday 20th and Sunday 21st December, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily. Shop unbeatable deals on bed and curtain sets, appliances, household items, electrical and plumbing supplies, toys, Christmas decorations, clothing and shoes, perfumes and colognes, wines and drinks, and just about everything else. Plus a kids area, live entertainment, food and drink stalls. Want to be a vendor? Call 440-4646 to book your spot before they're all gone. Admission $5. 2 full days of deals and more deals. Shopping, fun and savings. Monroe's Plainfield Flea Market. Don't miss it.
Welcome back, viewers. As we indicated a little earlier on, we have two gentlemen from the RGPF to discuss with us tonight traffic issues, as I know we are having a lot of issues with that, and probably some of us may probably have the wrong idea of what is happening or not happening. So we have a Corporal Paul from the Traffic Department who is here to tell us and to explain to us certain issues and what is going on now. And we also have with him Sergeant Callis from the CID Division of the Police, the RGPF, who is also going to talk on security issues, give us an idea of statistics, how we have performed so far for the year, and what is the police intention for 2026 on these issues. So let me start off with Corporal Paul. Corporal Paul, welcome.
Thank you.
And Sergeant Callis, happy to have you here from RGPF. It's at the time of the end of the year where we felt it was probably a good time to remind our citizens of what is happening, how the police are working to ensure that the issues remain as minimal as possible. So, Corporal Paul, let me start. The first question I want to throw to you is the level of accidents and what we're seeing on the road. And I want to take it from 2 points of view. The issue of safety is one, and we have a lot of people driving recklessly, in my view, that is my opinion, and speeding. And then the issue of lights in the night and the bright lights, and from a safety point of view. Not from the point of view that you need to see the road better. From a safety point of view. What is RGPF's thought on that from your vantage point in the traffic department?
Yes. So you started with accidents, and accidents is something that is dear to me. And the amount of reported accidents we see over the years, and especially as we in 2025, the increase amount of accidents we're seeing on our roads daily, it is alarming for us at the traffic department, and it's something that we are definitely looking into to see how we can reduce the amount of accidents that we're seeing on our nation's road. And as you've mentioned, some of those accidents are contributed to a number of factors. You're looking at, as we've mentioned, speeding is one of the contributing factors to accidents, and there are a number of contributing factors as relates to accidents, and we're seeing the trend now where alcohol consumption becomes a thing where persons take with the party socially and so forth, driving under the influence of alcohol, and we see one of the results of that is accidents where persons are being.
Let me just interject here with the alcohol thing, because I know at one time we were talking about using the better analyzer to make you blue.
Yes.
And if you're above a certain limit, you pull off the road. Yes. You can't go beyond. I can't remember if we had passed that in Parliament through our laws, and if it is law. But I know in the private sector companies where I used to be at one time, we had breathalyzers that we were going to implement because they're driving a forklift. And a staff member may come from a fete on Sunday still a little bit intoxicated, and if a forklift is a dangerous piece of equipment.
Of course.
So we had to make sure that you're okay. So how is RGPF approaching that issue with the alcoholism? What are the thoughts?
So it is law now, right. And the prescribed limit of alcohol in Grenada is 70 micrograms of alcohol in 100 milliliters of breath.
Right.
And once you're above that, we suspect that you are under the influence of alcohol, because
so
what the
once
law
you're over
says,
0.7, basically.
Yes.
Yes.
So what the law says that we must have suspicion, reasonable suspicion, whether or not the person might be the manner in which they are driving on the road and so on, or if you encounter an accident and you smell the stench of alcohol on one's breath, you can subject them to
But could the police pull
breathalyzer.
you off the road? You know, they do the normal checks around festive seasons for weaponry or things in your vehicle that you're not supposed to have by law. Could we pull you off and administer breathalyzer if we believe when the officer pulls you over that there's well, not evidence, but there's reasonable
yes.
suspicion that you could be under the influence?
Yes, so once we have reasonable suspicion, then we subject you to a breathalyzer test.
Right.
And failure to take that breathalyzer test is as if you were driving under the influence.
Excellent.
So you can be arrested and charged if you fail to submit to a breathalyzer test, if we have that reasonable suspicion. But you take that test and you over the limit of 70 micrograms, you will be arrested and charged for that offense of driving.
I think that is important for driving public to know.
Yes, it is definitely.
Because two things, the volume of vehicles on the road has increased tremendously.
Definitely.
I think we all know that. Again, what, 300 vehicles on average a month, that is what, 3,000 plus vehicles a year. So the congestion, and we've seen it with the traffic build-up, and we'll come to that in a while, but the congestion, there is no need for us to be driving at the rate we're driving, because it's just too much vehicles on the road.
Definitely.
I don't know how we go educate the drivers on that.
And also looking at the conditions of our roads, it's still not prudent to be driving in the manner in which some of our drivers drive on our nation's road.
Yeah, so let me go to the traffic issue, because before we started, I was commending the police on what I saw happening in the Grand Anse and the southern area in particular, in the peak periods. And I want to talk about that because in Grenada, we have certain peak periods in the morning and in the evening. And that is when, in my view, my humble opinion, we need to see more police deployed, traffic officers deployed, with the wardens, of course, to help with the movement. So tell me if I am wrong in thinking this way. I believe, take for example in Grand Anse Valley, between 3 o'clock and say 6 or 3 o'clock and 7 is building up to peak periods. We need to have officers deployed on the route, and of course with communication equipment to talk about how things get. But in that period, nobody should be allowed to park in the high usage areas, and police should have the authority to move them if they do such. We shouldn't even be able to stop and talk. That's what we just do, chat, and we forget we care about the traffic in the back. So what are the police thoughts on these kind of things going forward for 2026?
Yes, so as you mentioned that as we entering the Yuletide or the Christmas season, the traffic department have a traffic plan as it relates to dealing with traffic congestion. And as you've mentioned, having officers deployed in the peak period is one of that initiative to curb the traffic congestion issue.
Right.
And having officers in strategic position, and that is crucial, is we definitely see some sort of easement in the traffic, because it's not just having officers deployed, but having them deployed in the right place at the right time to ensure that the traffic keep moving.
Correct.
And that is what we want to see, because we cannot avoid congestion. Congestion is everywhere around the world. And what we can do, as we stated, having those persons deployed in those positions so that at least we can see the traffic moving, and that is what we want to see, the traffic moving to whatever direction it's supposed to. And you mentioned persons are causing obstruction, or the likelihood of causing obstruction is a serious issue, and one of the reasons that contribute to traffic congestions is that persons indiscretionately park or stop to talk or to chat, or for whatever reason stop to conversation or to buy something from a vendor and so on, and obstruct the traffic 1 minute or 2 seconds in traffic can cause major congestion based on the volume of traffic that we have on the road. And remember, Grand Anse is one of the busiest areas in terms of traffic coming to and from. And as I've said, gone are the days when we used to have light flowing traffic. Mostly all areas around the town and all these adjoining roads, we have heavy traffic. So you don't have you say, well, I will pass in another road to avoid that. All these roads are being used to avoid traffic congestion. So we're seeing that our road network are being used properly, but maybe needs to develop more as relates to the volume of traffic.
Is it possible we can have mobile officers deployed, whether it's on the motorcycle, or even bicycle? I know in Miami they use a lot of bicycle. Is it possible that we could have and try and see how we could get the government through the budget for 2026 to get the officers? Because you need mobile units as well, moving up and down to advise where we need attention or to stop and deal with it, accidents, whatever the case.
Of course.
So that the mobile units keep it moving. Is that something under consideration from traffic?
Yes, as you've mentioned, the motorcycle patrol and even the inclusion of bicycle patrols, although we do not have a bicycle patrol unit or so forth, but that is something that we definitely will have to look at going forward in the future, because remember, once we have traffic congestions, our mobile cars and vans and so on will not be able to access the roadways, even if you have an emergency lights and sirens and so on. Because if you cannot pass, you cannot pass. And definitely the motorcycle will definitely give you that access, and so especially bicycles.
I want to throw two things to you in the traffic department for if it's not being considered right now. The first one, I think, is some businesses, when they're operating, people stop to do business and they stop on the road.
Yes.
And causes a congestion. That is one. The other thing is the big trucks and the big truck movement. Because of the size of the trucks we have on the road now, and until we adjust our road to deal with them properly, is there anything that from the department that will say big trucks are to move from, 3 in the afternoon or whenever to before the peak build-up starts, and they can move in the night when there is less traffic on the road and so on? Is there some kind of consideration of time slots for the movement of trucks with heavy material and so on, so that it could ease the congestion with the trucks as well? Because when those trailer trucks coming through and you have any obstacle on the road, the traffic builds up and stops, and then that creates even more issues. Is there any consideration for that?
We do not have anything in law or anything as it relates to the trucks and their movement, as of specific time and so on. But as you mentioned, it is something that we definitely will have to look at and consider maybe going forward as it relates to their movements, considering them doing whatever it is in the night. But then you have to look at a lot of other factors that may be taken into consideration when you do that. Maybe economical factors, but as it stands, we do not have anything in place as it relates to that.
Well, as you touch on the economical factors, and I know Byron won't come in there, is that we have had complaints from businesses in the South already. They're losing business because of the state of the road in the South. People don't want to come to Glenlands for no particular reason. I don't want to go to Glenlands for any particular reason. I understand the need for what is being done, but sometimes it becomes tiring and to have to deal with the traffic situation. And I know that is not your area. In your area is the project need to finish and finish quickly so that the traffic get back as it needs to get back.
Of course.
And you do what you have to do. But from a road traffic issue and congestion, businesses are complaining that they're losing business because people are not moving as they ought to. Is there anything in 2026 the department will consider that for that and buses? How buses could, because there's a lot of complaints that buses stop around 7 o'clock in the night and a lot of routes. And the buses have complained to us. I came on a program here and said to us, they don't have security in the night. They have been robbed on occasions. I think we had an issue in St. Andrews. And when they stop, and the bus drivers will tell you they're not taking chance. Is the traffic department aware of things like that, and what is the plans?
Of course, we are aware of those challenges to the movement of people, especially after a certain time. But we do not have control over how buses operate.
Yes.
We are there to make sure that whatever regulations that is put in place for enforcement and so on, and so on, that because remember, our responsibility is law enforcement primarily.
Correct.
But however, the Transport Commission is the one who have all the powers to deal with the issue of whatever movement of the bus. But then still, remember, we have private bus owners here. We do not have any public transportation system.
Which rearticulation had to come into place. I
Yes.
hope the government puts it in 2026.
If I may be allowed to add,
Sure, Sarge. Go ahead.
pertaining to the safety and security of our busmen and women, I know that measures are put in place at the bus terminals, Grenville, St. George's, because those are the only places that we can really concentrate on in terms of providing security. So you have people in plain clothes there and the uniformed police officers there at nights for their safety.
Okay.
That those measures are put in place by the RGPF.
Excellent. Any digital use of camera technology and so on in those areas as well
I
to
know-
reinforce your
I know
crime
the St.
fighting?
George's bus terminus is fully equipped with cameras. I
Right.
can't speak for the St. Andrews bus terminus.
Okay.
Yeah, but that is something that could be looked into.
So we're talking here with Detective Sergeant Callis. Detective, how would you describe the current crime, the state of crime in Grenada? Give me an overview on that. How would you describe it for us?
Certainly, and thank you for the question. Good night to the listening public and all our citizens here and abroad. It's my pleasure to be here, and I welcome the opportunity to present to you and share some important information that would help keep our communities safe. General overview, I'll start by saying that the CID is headed by Detective ASP Hall, our best detective. And he has coverage leadership over all our investigative units, the CID, the SVU, the DFU, the Criminal Records Office.
What is DFU?
Digital Forensic Unit.
Ah, okay. I know SVU.
Yes, Digital Forensic Unit. So that unit is responsible for doing our electronic, our electronic investigations, headed by our competent Inspector Noel. Over the past few months, for the year so far, crime has sort of fluctuated. We have had highs, we have had lows. Some categories of crime, such as property crimes and crimes against the persons, have fluctuated. As I said, we have seen increased activity leading up to the commercial season, which is the Yuletide season. And over the years, this is something that we expect. And that is due to there's an increased need for finance. So you would find persons wanting more money, and they would seize and take whatever opportunity they get, especially in vulnerable places, vulnerable homes, and vehicles or persons not paying attention. They would prey on those persons to obtain financial gains. So for the year so far, just get into a little stats.
Yeah.
For the year so far, we are at 79% detection, and just 1% under the required or the level set out by ASP Co in ACP Crimes. Okay. He had set us a mandate to have an 80% detection for 2025, and we are just 1% away.
Excellent.
And I know we're going to get there.
Okay.
Yes,
We have diligent and hardworking police officers. We are going to get there. For this period, we have a total of 16,408 crimes reported, and we had 12,906 of those crimes detected. So that brought us to the 79%.
And detected here means solved.
Solved.
Yeah. Right.
Solved.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, solved. And what stands out for us is the 44% decrease in homicides.
In which year?
This year.
2025.
This year.
Compared to last year,
Compared to last year, 2024. In 2024, we had 18 homicides for the period. This year, we are at 10.
How does this compare with St. Vincent?
Oh.
I mean, to give us an idea, St. Vincent, St. Lucia, how does this compare?
I believe we are blessed here. We have a hardworking RGPF and very good citizenry who has a very good relationship with the police. So there's a really good relationship with the public and police. So that helps us in terms of managing crime. In those other countries, I believe crime got out of hand, where people are started saying, that is not my business, that is not my business.
St. Vincent, I understand, is over 60 crimes.
Yes.
Murders.
And not just murders, gun crimes.
Gun crimes.
A lot of gun crimes in those countries.
As you talk about guns, though, tell me which crimes contribute most, and which ones tend to remain unsolved?
We have a challenge with property crimes. And property crimes refers to the crimes where people would go into your home, when you're not there,
housebreaking,
those type of offenses.
Pretty larceny is part of this?
No, it's not.
Separate.
It's in a category for itself.
Okay.
We class period and larceny for itself.
Okay, fine. That's good.
So we mainly focus on crimes against the person, crimes against your property.
Yeah. Okay.
So the challenge with that now is most of the perpetrators are unknown, right? And so we have to start from zero to solve those crimes. So we would depend on information from the public, forensics, and the science, and good detective work to help us solve those crimes. That's a challenge we face.
Well, when we look at
those are slower to be resolved.
Sometimes.
Yeah, and
we have many cases where we solve within 12 hours, within 24 hours.
And if homeowners were to pay a little more attention, so for example,
definitely
set up cameras at their
lights,
homes, lights, security lights, and pay attention to keeping their place safe. Doors locked when they go in.
Do not leave your keys below the floor pots.
Right, those kind of things. I mean, we need to say that to some people because
to cut a key is just about $8 at any one of the establishments.
Keep it on you.
So it's easier to spend $8 to give your friend, your neighbor, your family member a key than to
leave it.
Because
it would cost you more. That $8 you don't want to spend would cost you $8,000.
Detective, when I look at the assizes, the majority of crimes there are of a sexual nature, gender violence. Sexual offenses are among the top court cases. We know that. Why so persistent, and how is your department addressing these issues?
We have the SVU, the Special Victims Unit. This unit was created specifically to tackle that type of crime. And that unit is headed by the capable Sergeant Joseph, Woman Sergeant Joseph, and she's doing a remarkable job. She's doing an excellent job with that unit. They have had several outreach programs. They go to the schools, the churches, wherever you can think of, they have been there spreading that message to help with the deterrence. But as one study shows, or one conversation then that I've read about, Grenada is a place where we are sexually oriented, if I may put it that way.
What do you mean? Explain.
People like sex.
That happens everywhere. No, we're not limited to Grenada. You think we're special?
Conversations. Conversations have said so.
Okay, fine. You go ahead.
But I believe that the problem with a lot of our perpetrators is a lack of maturity. Maturity in the sense that they cannot see themselves going after women their age. They know that these young people are vulnerable and they're easier to get to, they're easier to convince, they're easier to groom. So they target this age group because it's easier for them. They don't want to be rejected, they don't want to face rejection. So they target these people that are easier to get to by promising them rides, food, items, phones, you know. So that is where it's at for us.
It's a complex issue, obviously, because it deals with a lot of social ills.
Yes.
But do you believe from your department and the SVU's department that we have been more open to speaking out about it? Hence the reason we're seeing so much.
Yes.
It's no longer a thing where we're hiding it as when you and I were growing up as young people.
Yes.
And one man would have many incidents and of any age. But now the young people are speaking up, the young women are saying, and the young men are saying, they're not standing for that. Is that something we need to encourage more and more?
Yes, and I believe we are having more reported cases because of the work that is being done by the SVU. Because as I've said, they have had programs, they have had walks, they have had community outreach programs, they have gone into the churches, into the schools, they've given the number to children 4 years old are dialing the Special Victims Unit number.
That's excellent.
400. 4 years old, they're calling Special Victims Unit number.
You spoke about community policing. I think if we really, I am happy to hear that the community supports the RGPF in other areas, but that is a particular area that the community needs to get involved in a big way. So if we have a sexual, it's not long ago you have a guy having 3 and 4 and 10 women and you know the age, and now the community needs to stand up and say, you can't involve, you can't do this, we report. And that will help the RGPF to deal with these issues.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of it happening still. I mean, we are from different communities, and we would hear whispers of certain things, right? And some of those things, they are not really brought to the fore. They are not brought to the RGPF. And when we go to some of those persons, we wouldn't get the cooperation that is needed to really deal with those perpetrators, because it is happening. It is happening.
Well, there's a law in Grenada that says if a young lady comes to the doctor and the doctor suspects there is abuse or rape or whatever, any leader, they go to a priest and say, listen, they have a concern, they must report it. That's
Or the parent.
Mandatory reporting.
Mandatory reporting, there's no choice.
That's a crime.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Detective, we have a problem. I mean, my understanding, we have a revolving door in the prisons. First of all, it's overcrowded. Rehabilitation is an issue. I mean, that's part of your management of crimes, yeah? So if that part isn't working, what is the solution there? What is the recommendation there, if it's inadequate?
That is a situation that is being looked into. I know we have put forward propositions. We have proposed. We have made propositions to our leader, who is Mr. Connor, and we have a very good relationship with the Commissioner of Prisons. Yeah. We at the CID and the Commissioner's office, so we are always in dialogue on ways to improve things at the prison. But a lot of it is up to our lawmakers.
So you're articulating that. You see the problem there.
Yes.
Pretty elastic. You mentioned it earlier. Millions farmers lose every year. I understand that you have brought in a significant force to deal with this. How is it working? What is the present situation? Because the issue remains.
Off my head, I can say that we have seen some results. Yeah. I cannot give you the stats on period larceny because it's not my focus area. Yeah. But that is I can get that stat for you if needed. But I know there were some successes up to, I believe it was Monday of this week.
Yes.
I saw one of our period larceny units up on the northern side passing in the night, sometime after 10, with an animal at the back of it. And when I inquired, it was an animal they found from someone who had stolen it. So I know they're working, and I know that they have made some successes.
The other thing is, of course,
that animal will disappear for the season.
Yes.
Of course. No, I want to go to Corporal Paul for a moment. Corporal Paul, Chris was talking to you a bit about.
I wasn't drilling Corporal Paul.
He wasn't drilling. Yes, chatting with him, but. One of the factors that contribute to our traffic delays and traffic congestion is parking.
Yes.
Not in the city, everywhere.
Yes.
They park facing the wrong direction. We have also, if you look at the West Coast, Cherry Hill, there is a roadside garage. Grand Mall, there's a roadside garage, and nothing's been done. And the traffic and the parking, and Chris mentioned earlier, maybe a small mobile. What is the solution? I mean, how are you approaching this?
So we have already started as it relates to the parking. And if you look at most of the areas, we've emphasized no parking signs with cones, especially if you're coming up from the West Coast side, starting at Mall End, to be precise.
I've seen this.
Yes, we had started enforcement there. And we've seen compliance. Also, Springs is one of the challenging areas. There's a number of Cemetery Hill. Yeah. But what we see happening is that when we take actions or we focus on one area, other pockets, other community pockets, they started parking in those areas. I'm not sure if this is something that once governments pave a nice portion of road, is there an invisible sign that says general parking here?
Yes.
And we want persons to desist from parking along the roadways. Our roads are not
But if there are no penalties.
There is penalties.
Okay, let's take Cherry Hill.
Yes.
Roadside garage. As you're going down past the supermarket, there's a roadside garage. It's been there for years. As you leave the gas station in Grand Mall, as you're going up the hill, there's another garage on your right, in the road. I mean, vehicles face any direction. And you ask, motorists ask, well, Where's the traffic? Why can't these people get a notice that you can't do that? I mean, in Cherry Hill, it was so bold that they even put a tarpaulin across the road, connecting it from one side of the road. No, seriously.
Yeah, we have dealt with those issues, but we're seeing that once you go to deal in another area, persons tend to want to
move.
Not just move, but try to reapproach the situation differently and come back with it again. But
what is the penalty now for a roadside garage that is illegally set up and operating?
I'm not too sure as to in terms of penalty for the roadside garage, but I do know as it relates to prohibited parking and so on, obstruction, and these are the common offenses that we have to deal with every day. And the hands-on approach that we take as it relates to that, we clamp you so that you feel the effect immediately, or we tow that vehicle away, and we allow you to pay that fine to have it released. And the things that we normally tell them, we are not responsible for any damages incurred once it is not negligently or willfully done to your vehicle.
Let's look at the Port Highway. I mean, the planning authority issued a notice for the properties there, because we know that's contributing to the congestion. Because if you have a roti shop and you have a bar, people park there all the time. You have the porters. It continues. I mean, what is the recommendation from the traffic department how to regularize the Port Highway and to make it manageable? What is the recommendation coming from your department, sir?
Well, the only recommendation as now that the action that we can take now as it relates to that, as we stated, issuing of tickets and so on. But as going forward, I might have my personal perspective on it, but I would not. But as you stated, these shops or businesses contribute to those congestions. And
you can let me help the officer because at the end of the day, the police are for regulation and enforcement.
Absolutely.
And dealing with the law. So if you're violating the law, the police could take action under the law. But the police can't remove the structure.
Why are you speaking for Corporal Paul?
No. I mean, the only people that can remove the structure is planning, PDA. Because they don't have authority to conduct a business. If PDA not doing the work, the police cannot.
And that is a critical point that you're making. We are not the lawmakers. We only enforce what is given to us.
I'm talking about parking, Corporal. I'm talking about the vehicles that are parked. I'm not talking about the buildings that are there illegally. I'm talking about the cars that are parked there illegally. They come under your jurisdiction.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And you can take care of that.
And definitely we clamp and we
on Port Highway?
Yes, we do. We do.
Okay. Detective, police welfare is an important issue. I mean, you just moved to a beautiful headquarters on the Carenage. You can tell us about it. How is it going? How is it? What is the effect on this in terms of morale or productivity? But in the country, in other places, it's still very bad. If you go to Gove, if you go to Grand Roy, I understand you're doing some repairs at Grand. But how is this? How is this new accommodation affects morale, and what's the impact there?
It was welcoming. It was something that we needed. It was something necessary. I believe that created a boost in morale amongst the men and women of the RGPF. From me having attended there, I can tell you that I've seen an increase in terms of efficiency at police headquarters. Things are, I want to use the word crisp. Things are running a little smoother than before. It's not kind of ad hoc and as how it was up at the fort. When you go up there, it was kind of chaotic. But now there is structure. If you want to go to somewhere, you know where you have to go to, who you have to go to, and get it done. So in terms of waiting and time wasting efficiency, that is normal.
I want to
go ahead, Chris.
I have been there. I saw the facilities, excellent.
Yes.
But what I want to zero in on in the facility is the use of ICT and the technology. You're seeing most police officers in front of the computer. They could process things faster. And how is that impacting the efficiency of the police department in resolution of crime and generally the use of the technology and ICT?
This is policing is in such a way that it has to adapt to the times. You always have to adapt to the times, and it's something that we needed. We've been wanting. We the general body. It's something that we needed and been wanting for a while now. And to see technology being used in the RGPV was very welcoming. We have the drone unit. It's something that we've been asking for a long time now. We have it now. So we're on the right track. We are getting there slowly and surely. We have a digital forensics lab.
I was about to ask you about that.
I don't.
Forensics in particular.
We recently had the handing over of a new piece of equipment. I don't want to jump ahead of the commissioner and his team to speak about that, but that will be presented in due course. What has happened, we had that handed over to us. We have more items coming from our regional partners to assist us in fighting crime, specifically firearms, firearm offenses. Because if you look at the stats of firearm offenses, this year we had a seizure of, I believe it was 56 or 58? 56 or 58
according to
weapons and over 1,000 rounds of ammunition. When you do the math, the resale value, the street value for these, it's over $1 million untaxed. So that is
lost revenue
for the government. So
ballistics and your ballistics testing in the lab is going to improve with the new equipment.
Yes. There's
for murders, I think that's a big aspect for you.
Definitely, because instead we would have real-time testing instead of having to wait months to send something to Barbados, to Trinidad, to Jamaica. We can do it ourselves.
And how about the data collection? Because you need a lot of data in fighting crime at CID.
Yes.
In terms of past criminals, their records, the storage, ballistic information, the use of weaponry. How is the data aspect of the digital side of the business working?
As promised by our commissioner some time back, when he said that we will be getting those equipment, the AFIS, the IB, and all those to deal with fingerprints. Yes, those were delivered. They're being installed. They're not fully up and running. I believe we're 90% there in terms of having everything set up. So it's there at the Criminal Records Office. So soon we'll be having our prints being compared electronically instead of going through the laborious task of manually having to.
Magnifying glass.
So even though we give you a 79% no,
that could
go up further. With the
traffic right now, they could come on your thing and take a photo on the phone, and everything is uploaded on that particular motorist.
Yes,
license and this and that.
And if you're talking technology, we're definitely heading in that direction. And then there's something that we will be rolling out in 2026 as related to inspection. I don't want to speak about it yet because it's not my response, but definitely you will see something as related to inspection and going forward a lot more in the
inspection. Come to that, but let's Byron go ahead.
Cannabis. The previous government, this government talk about
legalizing.
Not decriminalizing of cannabis. The Prime Minister has posed with cannabis plants. What is your department doing on it? How is it enforcing the law? Is it relaxed on it in terms of young people with a spliff, with a joint, or a tree or two? How is your department dealing with it in view of you have a cannabis commission and all of this is happening? And given the Prime Minister role,
we pursue every crime with the same approach, the same vigor as we do it until the law changes.
Yes.
That is where we stand right now. Our approach is the same for every crime committed until the law says otherwise.
Okay,
so they enforce what are on the books now.
Okay, fine. Yes. Look, we run out of time, but let me ask Chris. Let me ask you both. I mean, in terms of this is the Christmas season, what is your advice for motorists? This is the Christmas season, Detective. What is the advice for homeowners or citizens on the various crimes that we know that tend to peak around this time of the year? Either one of you first.
Yes. So I will start as related to safety. Safety as related to drivers and pedestrians. And we know we have a heavier volume of traffic along our road, also pedestrian movement, especially in our towns and those areas. And what we want to appeal to drivers, as we stated, because we are aware that we also have increased accidents. So therefore, we have a speed limit. Our speed limit is 20 miles in all of our towns, 35 and 45 based on the type of vehicle that you're driving. So the most that you can drive along our roads is 40 miles. And I normally would appeal to drivers, despite the 40, but we also have to drive for the condition of the road at the time. Also, we're talking about the alcohol consumption, which we have mentioned earlier on. To persons, please remember the alcohol limit. But besides that, the 70 micrograms is one of the highest in the entire world. So you might be within the prescribed limit, but you can still be impaired from the alcohol
you can't
consumption.
walk a straight line.
My point exactly.
Yeah.
I want you to talk about pedestrian care.
Of course.
Because we talk a lot about motors, but pedestrians need to understand they have a responsibility as well.
Most definitely, and we've also seen an increase in pedestrian accidents as well around the Yuletide
For example,
season.
walking in the night with black clothes.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
How can you, or how will you be visible to drivers, especially?
So you expect it to be.
Yeah. So persons, remember that we do not have a lot of pedestrian crossing, but those that we have, let us use it and use it properly. Because we're seeing a lot of misuse of persons using pedestrian crossing.
They cross with the phones in their hands.
With their hands outside, and they're just jutting out into the road at any point in time to get to one
the CK
side.
crossing is the worst in the country, I think. Because as soon as they reach it, they think they must cross.
Of course.
They don't wait for the traffic. You know, with the traffic lights, sorry to interject, with the traffic lights, you have to wait till you go red for you to cross.
Of course.
Right, but
And you have a time to cross.
And you have a time to cross. The one by CK, we do have a light. I've been asking for them to put a light, or at least the warners hold people on the side, let the traffic flow forward, and then cross. But as you reach, you must cross.
And they're watching you like,
you must stop.
Detective.
Yes. The CID has its Yuletide operations plan that we put out every year, and we roll out that plan from about the middle of November every year. So it's already in force, it's already operational, it's already happening. And this year our Yuletide operations are more robust and more strategic. Strategic in the sense that we are more focusing on prevention and having officers at strategic locations other than just walking about the town visible to everybody. So we have placed officers at strategic locations where we, based on the crime stats and our analysis, where crime is likely to happen.
Intelligence,
Or intelligence. So I was getting to those pillars that we are focused on. Enhanced police presence. We have more officers within the towns, within the hotspots, and on the outskirts.
More patrols?
I'm getting to that now. We have 24 hours patrol already in effect. The CID already has 24 hours patrol in effect.
You have the resources, the vehicles, and manpower, womanpower.
Right. We have a visionary leader who, whenever this time comes, he pools all his resources. So he has pooled resources from the CRO, the Criminal Records Office. He has pulled from the DFU, and he pulls from the Special Victims Unit to help augment the CID to perform those patrols. And if it becomes necessary, we'll also pull from our outside units, the South St. George, the Grenville. If it's necessary, we pull from those resources to perform those tasks that we need to perform. So that is already in effect, it's already rolled out. We have more intelligence-driven operations. We have had several successes. We have recovered things like VGC units, scooters, televisions, think of whatever you can think of. We have had recoveries. Firearms, ammunition, we have had a lot of those. So we've had some major successes based on those intelligence-led operations. And if persons, some may be aware, you would see the large convergence of officers in different parishes. You've been seeing it over the past few months. So we have an operation plan where we target areas that we know that are prone to crime. So all of that is part of our Yuletide season operations. It's already in effect and will continue until the expiration of the Yuletide season. Also, we have undercover surveillance within the town, within the hotspots. So I'm saying this to say to would-be perpetrators, be very careful what your intentions are for this carnival season.
Christmas, yeah.
Christmas season. Be very careful what your intentions are for this Christmas season, because we want to have a safe Christmas. Just as we had a safe carnival, we want a safe Christmas. We want to boast and continue to boast that we are the safest country on this earth.
Or we could say in the Caribbean to start, but on the earth we accept that too.
On this earth.
Chris, you have the final say, Chris?
Yeah, well, you know, I have been a fan of the RGPF.
Yeah.
And why? Because I think they are staffed with excellent men and women who go beyond the call of duty to keep our country safe and to keep us, you know, having some of the best resolution rate in crime and so on. And we'll always have deviance in the society, and it's what you do and how you do. So I commend the police department, always have. You know, I'm close to SSU, so I always, so I am a fan. And I believe they do excellent work, so congratulations to you, Sarge and Corporal.
Thank you.
I think you guys do excellent work, so keep it up. And all I could say is we need to get our people more involved in understanding how the community can help in the resolution of any issue. Yeah, and you know, we just see some really strange things sometimes where people abusing the police and tearing up their shirt and all kind of nonsense. And we need to get our people to understand it must be a person to respect, especially in uniform.
Respect is a word.
You know,
respect
and that is a serious thing. So, again, gentlemen, thanks for coming to the program. We appreciate all the information, and we will have you back. Trust me.
Thank you very much. Really, congratulations. I join with Chris. Thank you for coming. Viewers, that's all the time we have. I want to thank the MTV technical team, of course, and we'll see you next week. Same time, same place. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.